And what I'm trying to explain to you, ladies and gentlemen, is the real world that our children live in, not the ideal one that we want them to live in, not this wonderful world that we pray that will come here one day, but the real world that they have to live in. You want to know why they're acting so crazy? You want to know why they're doing the things that they're doing? Because we have not prepared them to live in this real world. We have sent them through 12 years of school teaching them this dumb stuff that doesn't work, and when they go out and try to apply it and get killed for it, we are not there to help them through.
African Americans ain't African. Do you know who you are?
Welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't African, the talk show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't find his way to America locked in the trunk of a ship coming across the Atlantic. I'm your host, Buck Wylam, and tonight we're going to have a show. We got some new people joining the group, and they want to have this transatlantic slave story explained to them, because this is like the third generation of children who have been taught that they came from Africa. So this is what they've been taught, and this is something you can take back to your parents and ask your parents this, because what's happening is when you're being told that you come from somewhere else, you give up your rights here where you are and you make yourself an instant refugee. And this is what African Americans, if you go by the definition that they are given, this is what they are. We started with Fantastic Voyage by Lakeside. That was Lone Wolf's idea. Come with something funny, because the stories that we are given on a daily basis and what we take in are those of fantasy. And we're going to break down this transatlantic slave ship story. If you want to call in and have something to add, bring something to the table so we can all eat, give us a call at 605-562-3140 if you want to participate. 240-670-POUND. That's 240-670-POUND. We can also be reached in the Facebook in the African American Ain't African chat room. Bring information that we can use. We don't have no time for bullshit. The children that are picking up, and when I say children, I mean kids in their 20s, that's picking up this information and finding out who they are, off the hook. Check out 1000 Go Ahead on YouTube. 1000 Go Ahead. Check this brother out. This brother goes around and get drawings and paintings, and he compares them with stars and stuff we see on a daily basis, basketball people, faces that are familiar with us. This brother goes back in the time, scours all the indigenous American pictures, and put those faces up against contemporary people. It will blow your mind. 1000 Go Ahead. Check this brother out. He's excellent at that. Imagine being told, after you went off to college, of course, that your foreparents were refugees, taken from their homes and dragged halfway across the world, never ever to be heard from again. How did this story get into our family's histories when none of us were told this when we were children? How come we don't search for our family history? Why we always looking outside of ourselves for who we are? How did these stories get into our family? Were they told to you when you were a kid? Did your grandmother tell you that she was from Africa? Did her grandmother tell her that she was an African? What were the stories given to you, and how did this African history inculcate itself into our cultures? How come you never hear of Africans, if we are from those people, ever coming to our aid? How come you never see Africans getting dog sicked on them? How come Africans never get blown up in churches? Why? And why do we always try to connect ourselves with something outside of ourselves? How come there are no ships? How come there's no slave ships? I mean, not one. If this was an industry that is big as they say it was and big as they wrote it up to be, it would be something from a slave ship. Nothing. Yet when we ask these questions, this is one of the things that's swept under the rug. How is it that we are always tricked to believe the most outlandish stories? And we don't even question what's being taught to us, we just believe. And when the so-called African American believes something emotionally, he will wrap his life up in it, and it will infect the rest of the community with that nonsense. Joining me tonight is the African American Ain't African crew, Rick Moon. What's the word, Rick?
Hey, the word for the night is hearsay. And this comes from dictionary.com. The word hearsay is a noun, meaning unverified, unofficial information gained or acquired from another and not part of one's direct knowledge. 2, an item of idle or unverified information or gossip, rumor. And 3, as an adjective of or relating to or characterized by hearsay. Of course, you know also Moon got his definition too. Would you like to hear it, Buck?
Who got their definition, Rick?
You know Rick Moon got his own definition.
Come with it, brother.
Moon's definition: propaganda acquired from foreign sources that cannot be proven in nature or absolute truth, thus making it only a mechanism from foreign people passed to the indigenous people to keep them away from their true heritage by using other indigenous people to buy in to the hearsay for benefits.
Your definition one more time. Give me Rick Moon's definition one more time.
Okay. Hearsay: propaganda acquired from foreign sources that cannot be proven in nature or absolute truth, thus making it only a mechanism from foreign people passed to the indigenous people to keep them away from their true heritage by using other indigenous people to buy into the hearsay for benefits.
Damn, Rick. Now, this is what I mean, brother. This is your definition. So what made you want to come up with your own definition of a word? I mean, how dare you do that?
You know, usually I get these definitions, you know, from their, from foreign dictionaries and stuff. As a matter of fact, that's probably a foreign one that I got this definition for. So, you know, I have to, you know, kind of put it in my own little words, you know, to, you know, make it mean more to me, you know, what I really think they're trying to say.
Cool. Well, Rick, thanks for the word, brother. I appreciate it. And from Memphis, the Memphis matriarch, Niecy Lachelle. Hey, mama, how you doing?
Hey, how y'all doing, brothers? How you doing out there, family? I'm loving and digging what Rick just came up with. I got a word for you. You want me to fill it?
Hook us up.
Okay. I think it's going to be good from time to time for us to drop some of our tribal languages out there. So the word for tonight is Nitisape. Nitisape. That is the Blackfoot Confederacy word for original people.
You got to get that to me. What? Please do.
Okay. Capital N double I T as in Tom. S I T as in Tom. A P as in Paul I. Nitisape. Blackfoot Confederacy, meaning original people.
Niecy, as always, like you give us mother's milk, you give us knowledge, something that we can chew on, something that we can mix with what we already know to make it better, to make it a better picture. So I always thank you for that. And our West Coast correspondent all the way from Los Angeles, the Lone Wolf.
Okay, guys, I won't ever do that again, but I always wanted to do that.
What's up? What's up, brother?
What's going on, everybody? Hey, Sister Niecy, Brother Buck, and Brother Wolf. I mean, Brother Moon. I got to see the moon, so you know you my boy. I'm Lone Wolf. How everybody doing?
Oh, man, everything
Hey
is...
there. Hey, brother.
Hey, we good.
So,
yeah, we're going to have a good show tonight.
So
I guess we all doing a word for tonight, so I guess my word will be reboot. Reboot. Yeah, you take that however you want it. Most people know what reboot is, like you reboot your computer,
right.
You know. You got some files on there. You have your computer has a virus. You need to shut it down, clean it out, reboot your system.
Right. Okay, cool. That's something we can take. That's definitely something we can use.
That's right.
The transatlantic slave myth. When I got this story, I had to be about 18, 19 years old. And when I got the story, tens of millions lost their lives in the Middle Passage. I mean, the story was so great that they said that sharks followed the ships from Africa to the Americas. I'm like, okay. Now, I'm just getting this out of high school because none of this was given to me before high school. It sounded unreal, but I believed it. 18, 19 years old, not under the influence of the family no more, had to get out the house at 18, still in search of myself, trying to find out who I was. Plus, it was a social thing. It was an alternative to church, which I hated. So it was kind of like a social religion. Now, I got creative with it. I got real creative with it. And now, mind you, people have been pushing this black Indian idea for a long time. Matter of fact, that's how I happened upon it. Just going back and reading what other people said, researching what famous people back in the day, people who were part of the struggles of our people back in the day, what they said. Read some of the descriptions of what people were saying about the people when they got here, and it was like, wow. And not only were they describing us by what we look like, they were also describing us by our actions and how our actions, what we do. We still have that in us now. We come from a long line of people. Have you ever wondered why you never, ever hear the history of America? How come you never hear that a country as vast as this, all these people running over here? Why don't you ever hear the history of America? Only until the Europeans come. Because that history is about us. That's the whole purpose of telling you African. Now, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into we're going to get into the transatlantic slave trip, because once we destroy that, it'll be easy for the people to be like, wow. Because really, people get emotionally and cry over that. And it's a myth. And we're going to break that down tonight. Now, when this African story was being taught to, and when these people were telling me this stuff about black Indians and stuff, I really wasn't listening because I was caught up in that African. I got into the Egyptian thing. I mean, all that. And you know how we do it. It's like where we are now is where we are. We want to get better. We want to get better. Something got to be better than this. So we go into all to these different kind of groups trying to make ourselves better. That's understandable. But what all these groups do, when you look at them, all they are foreign ideologies given to us by foreigners to get us to psychologically and emotionally disconnect from our land and go over to some nonsense while they over here wiping us out. Wiping us out. And we cool. So what African American ain't African here to do is simple. Connect the indigenous people back to their ancestral homeland. And I think by us knowing that we have that connection with each other, our problems are solved. We playing with this artificial stuff, and it's not doing us no good. It's killing us out. So one of the things that we have to remember is it ain't about me, you, him, her. It's about all of us. Because without none of us, you nothing. And it's just that simple. So here are some, and I know the co-host got some things they want to share, but these are just a couple of things that you should look up. And these are just a few. These are just simple things that you can look up. Kids, I'm talking about 12, 13-year-old kids are finding this stuff, sending me this stuff. The complexion of the Carolina Indian is black. not much different than that of the Ethiopians. Their hair is black and thick. They have broad chests, strong arms. They are cunning, agile, and swift runners. Italian explorer Giovanni de Verrazzano, 1524. The Gory Island story was something that I also found stupid, so I started asking questions. Because my question was always, why would you kidnap people from a place, then take them to an island? I mean, it's like you run it, you've done something wrong and you just cool with it. It just never added up. Why would you stop and process children? As it turns out, Gory Island is a tourist attraction for gullible Negroes who have lost their place in the world. That's all it is. Max Fisher of the Washington Post calls it a science fiction. He calls it the science fiction of Gory Island. Look up Max Fisher on the Washington Post. He has a whole story on it. And the deeper you dig, you'll find other stories from other sources on this. But it's something that we get emotionally tied to. And it's total fiction. He also explains that the house on the island was built at a time that the so-called slave trade was diminishing. So these are the things that we have to look at when we're checking out when somebody tells us something. Do these things add up? Because we don't think about it. Somebody just tells us something, we see all the sparkly, and that's all we see. This was from Carlos Cuervo Marquez from his book Estudios, and as Studios, this is in Spanish, Archaeologists of Ethnographicals, Volume 1, Madrid, 1920. Distinct from the red American race, which have been found in various places from Bolivia to Mexico, it is likely that we repeat, America was a Negro continent. Now, people who call themselves Negroes, you know who you are. People who mama's a Negro, you know who you are. That's who they're talking about. That's why we're nowhere in history, because we're cut out with the American history. That's why you never hear about the American history, because it'll be talking about you. That's what you're not supposed to know. If you keep thinking that you're African, if you're a Moor, if you're a Hebrew Israelite, if you're a Muslim, why are all these foreign doctrines put on us? We don't even question it. We just dive right into it and just stuff ourselves with it. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, when he states the Negro finds himself in exile in his own land. I mean, we have all these civil rights people. How come that's not brought up? Why are we told that we're African? What does that term mean? Do we really know? No, we don't. The 1828 Webster's Dictionary, a definition of Americans as copper-colored people. The 1828 Webster Dictionary describes the Americans as copper-colored people. Who are they talking about? Senator Scott Beeson calling African Americans aboriginals to American. And then he apologizes for it. Why? And who is he apologizing to? He was apologizing to them white Indians who are over here masquerading as you because you want to masquerade as them. That's who he was apologizing to. I got tons and tons of documents that are being shared now. So African Americans ain't Africans. The reason they told us that we were Africans, so we would be confused and discombobulated like we are now. And we don't practice group economics or group anything. It's to confuse us, to have the immigrants come in and rob us blind. And for some reason, we think it's comfortable. Rick, you used to be an African. How did you get into being an African? And did your family teach you that?
No, my family didn't teach me how to be an African. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system taught me how to be an African.
So what kind of African were you taught that you were?
All I was taught that I was from West Africa. They didn't tell me what part of West Africa or nothing, no city or nothing. I believed every bit of it.
Now, how deep did you get into the Afrocentric movement?
I got very deep into the Afrocentric movement. As a matter of fact, I've talked to and seen a lot of the most prominent Afrocentrics during the 70s and the 80s and 90s. You know, I met a lot of them. You know, so I was deeply into it.
So what got you? So what was it that made you go, wait a minute, something's just not right?
I was introduced to a book written by Reverend Redine Amin Ra, and she pointed out in the book a lot about us. As a matter of fact, it was you that actually introduced me to that book. And, and then, you said a lot of stuff to me that made a lot of sense. And then I read the half of the book, and I was just amazed. And one thing that my father taught me when I was from a very young age was always listen to, just don't take people's word for it. Listen to everybody. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Listen to everybody. And so I did that, and man, I was an African in about 3 hours.
So what you found after that? What was that?
Well, what I found after that is when I started finding out what a lot of the people were saying about the people here when they got here. I also started to go into the woods and saw how I blended into all the in America. And of course, my family told me that I was Indian, so I had a lot of stuff that was me. But being that people take it away, it was a breath of fresh air to get it for it to come back, because when it did come back to me, who I really was, a lot of the stuff from when I was a child came back into memory. It's a great thing for me to know this stuff.
Nisi, when were you introduced to the African story? Was it introduced to you by your grandparents or mom or great grandparents or anything like that?
Well, I was introduced to, the slave trade and the history, and we're not from here, and, we have to go all across the TransAtlantic to reconnect to our histories and all that. That was in school. But I have a confession. Excuse me. I was never drawn, honestly, I was never drawn to that. I thought something was wrong with me because it never really resonated with me, rather, when I went to college. I took one African literature class, and I got out of it. I dropped a phone, and I got out of it. I didn't know anything on the level that I do now. It just never resonated with me because I've said this before. My grandma, Annie, that's my maternal grandmother who helped raise me, my mother's mother. She said, when Roots came on, and I was like in the 6th grade, if I'm not mistaken, she would say, cut that TV down, I'm going to bed, I don't want to hear that mess. And she said and told me and my brother and my mother too, we ain't no damn Africans. I don't even know why they got their garbage on TV. I promise, that's what she said. So her having said that when I was a child, that always stuck in the back of my mind, because I always regarded my grandmother as someone who was wise, someone who you could ask her just about anything, and most of the elders that I grew up with, and you would get wisdom and knowledge. You wouldn't be swayed or strayed in the wrong direction, and you could bank on that. So with her having said that, that stayed with me. I never was drawn into the Afrocentric movement. Sometimes I would get into little quibble debates with people about why I wasn't in. I just told them I wasn't feeling it. It wasn't for me. I was never drawn into it.
Yeah, once you start questioning, this is one thing I found out. If I have a question, I think it deserves a simple answer. I think as humans, as we're communicating with each other, if we're one of the primary purposes that we're here is to assist each other. If I ask you a simple question and you tear my head off, that either mean you lying or you don't know what you're talking about. So when I started asking simple questions, people was getting angry. Like, what you mean by that? I mean, it's a simple question, brother. How could this happen? How could this slave trade happen? Lone Wolf, you got Kunta Kinte tattooed somewhere on you. How did you get the Africa? How did you get the African story? Was it passed down by the family?
Well, to be honest, man, I just look at it like a child learning there's no Santa or Easter Bunny or Tooth Fairy. It's almost painful to learn the truth, you know what I mean? First, you have to unlearn all the things you were taught at a young age. But, I tell you, after you relearn and find the truth, it feels good, it feels empowering, So after a while, you're so proud to learn that, it was your parents all along. When in actuality, like, when you really think about it, if you would have learned the truth, in fact, that it was, in the first place, that it was your parents doing all of this stuff, it could have made your relationship even greater. My parents care this much about me, but we want to, your parents tell you it's this white man, this fat white man coming down the chimney, or it's this mythical creature, or like the Easter Bunny, or I don't know what to call the Tooth Fairy. But if you think about it, man, you learn about slave ships and the slave trade around the same young, ripe age that you learned about Santa Claus, man. When your mind is young and right, that's when they just feed you all this stuff. But it feels so good to learn that it wasn't, what it was. Some people going to be upset at you, brother, because, they want to know what's your purpose of trying to tell black people they didn't come from Africa, and basically what goal are you trying to reach in the long run? People get upset about that.
May I retort?
Yeah, that's what I want you to do, brother.
Yeah, this is the reason why I do that. This is the only reason. If you think that you are nothing, that's what I say. We're taught that we're refugees. We come from a country that doesn't want us because they sold us. They made us cargo. They sold us to get what they got. And if you look at them right now, they got the short end of the stick. What teaching the African American is that he is not African is it connects him to this land right here. And I would just implore that just go back a few generations. Go back a few generations. Just a few. We will call ourselves African, and we won't even find out who our grandmama's grandmama was. That's one of the craziest things I found. We jump right to Africa, erasing everything that your ancestors have ever did, and so it can make it simpler for other people to come in and claim it. That's what's happening to the African American right now.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody.
And I'll tell you this. Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, you can run across a lot of Indians. They don't really want to accept us or honor that either. They upset about that. Okay. But then at the same token, Africans, they never really like the so-called African Americans. They call us lazy and all this when, we were first over here and really built this place that they came to. Right. On their own.
Right. The next time one of them says that, this is what you suggest to them. Why are you running away from your country? Or why are you running away from your land and coming over here? Mm-hmm. Because see, you have a lot of foreigners coming over here. You not at your house. I can't come to your house. I can't come to your house and tell you nothing.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you let me come in and take a load off.
Yeah.
And these people. Yeah. And so we're made to feel bad. We're made to feel. And these immigrants come in and teach us, and we're part responsible for that. Teach us who we are, and this is what we've got. Nobody else spends their money with us.
Right.
Seriously.
Right.
How come we don't look at that? So
yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, brother. This is simple. This is simple. We are getting wiped out, and we are being replaced.
Yeah.
Now, and I know I know 15-year-olds can recognize this.
Mm-hmm.
And this game that we play, and it's a game we play so we won't have to confront it, but we're gonna have to, man, because if we get this place will look like Egypt if we get wiped off here. And there's signs that's happening now. Go ahead, Nisi.
One of the things that I thought about, and I thought about this early on when I was in college, and I've often thought about it. If the majority of us came from that place, that particular landmass to this landmass, how come, and we were so dumb and stupid and everything, why did NASA entrust us to know all the herbs and everything that was around us for healing? They didn't know any of it. How the hell did we know it?
Right.
So how do we know all of these things?
Right. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying, Nisi. Little hints like that. So you're going to bring somebody from the other hemisphere of the world, and they're going to acclimate to this place like that? I don't think so. Especially if they weren't born here. Now, this is what I'm saying. All this education we supposedly have, this is what happens when other people educate our children. They teach us to be dumb. And that's exactly where we are at this point in time. The so-called African American, I mean, this is simple things. Economics, because economics, I think, is the key to a lot of our problems. Because like the sisters say, we out here tripping because we don't have anything. We always got to go to somebody else to give us something. If they have something left over, we don't produce for ourselves. And for some reason, we're not taking that serious. Transatlantic slave trade. This is the story that disconnects us from America. In the transatlantic slave trade, you just got to ask some simple questions. Now, when they talk about this transatlantic slave trade, it was a big industry thing. They had to build ships round the clock to go down. Because remember, they said tens of millions died. Now, this when I was a kid. I've heard recently that the number has been revised. It's like, 17 only came over now? A real small number. But that's because the story, you can tell stories are lies by the way they change. So you just got to ask simple questions. And it's like Rick said earlier, something his father said, look at it from another point of view. Think about it. And one of the things that we don't do, we don't think about it. Somebody come tell us something, we'll have our mouth open while they telling, we just swallow it. So they were building ships. Where were they building all these ships? This should be a question that if you saying a slave trade is going on, where were all these ships built? Brothers be bringing me all this stuff. Man, here's the documentation. Look. I'm like, dude, they pay people to type stuff up all day long. Stories. Everything you know is a story that he's told you. And we try to pretend like these people are giving us something that's going to connect us to this land so we can do what we want for ourselves. We're crazy.
Brother Bug, I think we should get like how they have all these little punk reality shows. Let's make a show where we go over there and we build a ship, with the same tools they had, the same wood, whatever they got it. We chop the wood down from the trees, and let's try to take a voyage from there to over here in that boat. Now, I don't want to be on it, but I do want to be in the helicopter and document what happens.
No, brother, you got to be on it.
Nah, well, let's not do that show then. Let's make a cartoon of it.
So look, let's check out the story. So the story is that these people built all the now these people are just coming out of the Dark Ages. This is their history. This is the time. Remember, they said the Moors ran Spain, and this is what they were doing. They built these ships from Portugal and Spain, came down, wooden ships, came down to the Horn of Africa, picked up slaves, stopped at the Gorée Island House, then crossed the Atlantic and came to the Americas. I say impossible. Anybody say it's possible, please give us a call and explain. Area code 605-562-3140. Did African Americans start over in Africa, or it was just a myth, fable, to disconnect them from their ancestral homeland? Rick, you've been quiet over there for a minute.
Hey, well, there's, I kind of look at it, based off of, things going on today, too.
Well,
there's no
explain.
We live, the trip that they had coming all the way from Africa to over here. And another thing is, I've been to Europe. I've been to Spain, Portugal, England. I've been all over Europe, and I don't see no forest there to be making no wooden ships out of. All I see over there is ferns and stuff like that.
So this is what I mean about us questioning. We don't even look at that. So now they build these ships. They come down to Africa. Okay, so let's say on the way down to Africa, the ship has a problem. How do they fix that ship? Now, these are wooden ships. What if these wooden ships hit a rock or a whale or shark, whatever, and gets damaged? How are these boats repaired? And do they have the same wood in Portugal and Spain that they have in Africa? Because the boats have to be cut a certain way previously. How do they do that? And so when these kind of questions are asked, the person that these questions that are asked, they go crazy. What does that matter? I'm talking about where their eyes are bulging out of their head. Because you trying to tell me a story that this happened, that this country went down to this huge continent and just started kidnapping children and bringing them over to America. Now, if you really want to test this theory, go on YouTube or any one of these sites and get a video of the Atlantic Ocean, a crossing in the Atlantic Ocean. And these are on aircraft carriers. If you talk to your people who are in the Navy, you got a lot of brothers and sisters who are in the Navy. Ask them what it's like to cross the Atlantic and listen to what they say. Because I ask them all. This is how we have got. We don't even speak to each other to find out information.
We need to get one of them brothers from the Navy one day. I actually have a cousin that's been in the Navy for maybe 30-some years. David Connor. I don't know, sergeant or whatever. I don't mean any disrespect, but I if you don't mind, let's question him one day next week or soon.
No problem.
Yeah.
Bring them on. I've spoken to brothers in there. I've spoken to them. They say, no, this is what they say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because this is what we're told stories, and we're not in the position to verify the story. So we just go along with it. So I've asked a few brothers, and it's comical to me because I like to ask people questions if they know the answer to. And I ask brothers, have you ever crossed the Atlantic Ocean? Yes, several times. From South Africa to Brazil, from Brazil to Nigeria, Nigeria to Virginia, USS Enterprise. You can probably see if that's a route they take. And I asked them, is it possible? He said, man, are you crazy? And then if you look at the pictures, how they got the people lined up, that's comical because those oceans are not like walking across a park. Those oceans are treacherous, brother. And then did they take 6 months off for hurricane season? Did they stop the operation for 6 months because hurricane season? What's up? There's so many holes in the story, but we don't even want to discuss those. We just want to claim Africa. And I'm telling you, it's cutting us off, brother. It's cutting us off from everything that our people have built here. And that's the shame. That's why Africa say we crazy.
It's hard to unlearn for these folks.
No, it ain't.
And doing that, being it hard to unlearn, they get upset. Then they want to say, well, get proof, when they don't really actually have proof either. And like my whole thing is, what's wrong with us having this discussion? Is it really hurting, man? As opposed to us talking about, like I say, Chris Brown and Rihanna and or Obama or this and that. Is it really that bad for us having this discussion without us being called a cult or people want to shoot down Sister Niecy, Brother Rick, and Brother Buck and Lone Wolf? We're not taught, from professors in this subject. We don't have to be. And I was always taught, not to say any of us are dummies. You can learn a lot from a dummy. I have hours discussions with a homeless person sometimes, man, just talking to them, seeing how they got in that position. What's wrong with learning, folks?
Because when you learn, you have to do something with it. And one of the things that we've been doing for a long time, we've been shucking and jiving. And we've been shucking and jiving so long that not to shuck and jive doesn't feel right. I mean, I'm telling you, man. Check out when you're around our people what the conversation is, especially in this day and age. You have immigrants. I don't know if Barack Obama signed the bill to let all the immigrants in. What is that going to do to us?
Right.
What is that going to do to us for real? New York. We've already. Los Angeles the Negro has been kicked around by the Hispanic coming up. Now they're about to let all these immigrants come in. What is that going to do to us? It's going to break us down even further. Because play the devil's advocate, as they say. They say this used to be Mexico, though. So, maybe they're taking it back. Okay. Well, look at it how it is. Who's taking it over? The Hispanics? That sounds that sounds like right. Who's taking it over? German?
Well, I say Jewish, German. Because what always puzzle me, man. Los Angeles. You think movies and film and all that. Jewish people run that. Right. But then you had a German governor with Schwarzenegger.
Right.
I don't understand,
man. But what the Negroes? The black people, the African American, what are they doing in Los Angeles? Or what are they doing in California?
Oh, man, wearing these red monkey jeans, $400 jeans, and going to these clubs. And,
they're a resource for the foreigners. Because the foreigners come and set up, we're not owning anything, and all our resources, all of our energy goes to those people, weakening us and making them stronger.
Brother Buck, think about them swap meets, right? The swap meet, that's big time out here, right?
Right.
How many brothers and sisters have a booth in about maybe 75 stores of the swap meet?
2, 3.
And the rest is what?
Asians.
Yellow.
Yeah. So why do we go along with that? That's because we don't think we belong to nothing. We don't think we're part of anything. That's the problem. We
need diversity.
You say that again?
We need diversity. We're the only diverse people in the world. Everybody else teach diversity, but we're the only one that practice it.
Right. So if they have you thinking that you're a refugee, you don't feel comfortable. Frederick Douglass said it. How you gonna send the Negro over to Africa? That's just gonna make him feel like he's nothing. How you gonna send him from his home to Africa? And so that's one of the things, and Rick talks about it all the time, is that we're disconnected. We're supposed to be connected to this earth, whether you like it or not. I know we want to be connected to them Jordans. I know we want to be connected to that Gucci, but we're supposed to be connected to this planet. That's what these people came over here for, because your foreparents built something, and everybody's coming over, taking it over, and you thinking you some mystical, magical foreigner for somewhere, some refugee from somewhere else. That's what's happening. That's what's happening to us.
I also like to add, basically too, we were programmed from day one, were deprogrammed, I should say. Those other races you mentioned, they have fathers to teach them and grandfathers to teach them. You see how we've been done, man. Even with, say back in, I want to say maybe it was the 60s, when a person was trying to get government assistance, a black man a man wasn't supposed to be present in the home. You know what I mean? You remember that?
I'm sorry, one more time.
back in the day, I would think you're kind of knowledgeable on this too, Sister Nisi. Have you ever heard of that? Like, if you wanted to get assistance as a woman, maybe back in the 60s, I know that's before your time, sweetheart, but if you wanted to get assistance back then, you couldn't have a man present in the house.
Well, see, I was very, very young at the time, and seriously, that's the truth. However, when you do your history, that's going back to the war on poverty with Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan and Johnson. That was the beginning of how we got into this cyclical madness that we're in. And also, based on what you're saying, Lone Wolf, people didn't start talking about all of this stuff about our connection to Africa and everything in terms of just everyday people. That was almost unheard of until the 60s. Okay, now that's we can go back. Now you have Garvey and all that stuff and all that talk, but you had people who were dispelling what he was saying, and you had those debates that were out there. But everyday people, I'm trying to recall exactly, but it had to be in the Black Power movie when something just clicked on people. Oh, we from Africa. Yeah, we want to go, but ain't nobody's really left to go there in mass. Because if you really want to go there, I do believe they'll let you go.
Right.
So I'm just trying to figure out why are we embracing all of this. If you want to go, go. If you're African, be African. Right. But you're in the wrong country, the wrong homeland. Go to your homeland if that's where you're from. I don't think anybody's going to stop you.
Right. No, well,
that's why I tell people that's how cold-blooded we are as a people. Everybody else had a head start, and we really still up in there without a real teaching of ourselves. Could you imagine how we would be?
Right. Imagine this. Imagine this. Now, this is just nature. Imagine if the so-called African American looked up and was like, you know what? We got to look at it from another point of view. It would be instantaneous, dude. The energy that we expend, making sure other people are comfortable, is off the hook. 323. You had a question? 323.
No.
Okay. Rick, you were saying?
No. What I was saying that they kind of answer what Lone Wolf was talking about. All of these other so-called people over here, they're never going to do anything to them because they don't have any rights to anything. So they don't have, you're the only one that has the rights to this land. So that's why you're the one, that they're going to mess with.
Area code 302, you had a question or something to add?
Peace and blessings to all of you all. I have a statement to make.
Yes,
first of all, thank you all. I've been digging you all for quite some time. But I just want to add also that, in my opinion, I think they know what it is. I think everybody knows who we are except us. And with that being said, you all know what went down in, what was that country over there in Africa? I think it was like South Africa or Zimbabwe, one of those places where the dude over there started kicking all of the invaders out of that land.
That's Uganda.
And the same thing would happen here. So trust and believe, Blue Wire ain't trying to go nowhere, because trust and believe, once the masses start catching on and on the same page, with that being said, I also feel the masses will never catch on. I think it will always be a few, because real talk, when you look at history with our people, or just people as a whole, real talk, the masses never did a damn, the masses never did a doggone thing.
Yes.
It's always been a small group. So if you want to talk spiritual or scripture, whatever way you want to go, there's always a writing about it's always that small group. It's always that small group. So I submit to you that I think a lot of people are digging what you're saying, and they are a part of the movement, but they also understand that you are truly dealing with a beast. They ain't talking about no fear. I'm just talking recognizing the game, so to speak. And, you get out here with this bullhorn, speaking the truth all you want. I mean, you can do that, and may the powers be with you, but on the same page, if you recognize they don't have no problem with taking out their own mom. They'll take out a whole plane, dude, just for one person. So
check this out.
Real talk. Play the game smart.
Check this out. When you get to the other side, because none of us gonna walk on this planet forever. When you get to the other side, and when you you face the people that sent you here, and when they tell you what you did when you was over here, and when they ask you, did you do something to help your people get up off the ground, and you say no, or that you was too busy waxing the car or watching Scandal, what you have to face then is nothing compared. So, baby, I understand.
And
that.
You know what?
But
and
check
you know
this
what?
out.
And you're absolutely right.
And let me close it with this: to sit up here and watch my people flop around like this on the world stage, I would be a bitch to not stand
Absolutely.
up and say nothing.
A bitch and a bastard.
Right.
And I'm not, don't get it twisted, I'm not promoting that at all.
Okay.
Because trust and believe with the same thing, I love my brothers and sisters, but on the same page, everybody ain't my brother and sister.
Yes, ma'am.
Be it through the genome or blood, or be it through mindset. Because trust and believe, some folks going to have to die. It is what it is.
Baby.
They
dropping like
y'all
flies.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, love. Thank you, love. Thank you.
All right,
come back and visit us sometime. 323.
Oh,
and this is the lone wolf. This goes to the children. A bitch is a female dog or wolf, and a bastard is someone who doesn't know their father. Just in case the kids listening. All right, go ahead, sorry.
Woo! Area code 323. You had something you wanted to add?
I do.
Yes, sir.
I just think it's crazy, everything that's being said, and asking why, the masses are this way or that way. And I bet it's frustrating to you with the knowledge that you have and what you're trying to do, when you see that the masses don't want it.
It's kind of like the sister.
Want to change.
Well, it's kind of like the sister said. The sister who just got off said, brother, I know what I'm up against, but what I'm trying to do is just leave a record so our kids will have something to find, because this is something that's real. The people that are 30 and up, they not really getting it. They done got comfortable. The youth, they lost, man. So once they find out that, man, this is you have a connection to this here, it changes them. The average person, most the Afrocentrics, all of the grandparents, they're not gonna get it. I understand that, but
they don't want to get
it, brother. That's what we beg to be trained to be this way. We didn't have to be
that blue pill in the matrix. That's all.
We didn't have to teach our people Christianity.
Oh,
we didn't have to. We didn't have.
Let's not get started on that.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. These are things that we opted into. We wanted to be a part of this. So we can't keep saying somebody did something to us, because it makes us not look at what we got to do to get out of it.
Exactly. Nobody wants to be accountable for anything.
Right. So I say let's stop being eaten, brother. Thank you for calling. Thank you for being part of the thing. Is there anything else you want to add?
Before you go, 323. You in Los Angeles, right?
To me?
Yeah.
I'm 302.
Oh, 302. Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, brother. Well, thank you. Well, anyway, like I say, the transatlantic slave trade is just a story to disconnect us. So if boats came over, if ships came over, wouldn't the Caribbean be one of the places that a lot of the Caribbean is coral reef? Wouldn't it be all kind of slave ships caught in the coral reef? Wouldn't there be museums? Wouldn't there be museums in Florida, slave ships museums? Well, how did they get here? You mean they didn't cross the Atlantic? How did they get here? Simple. If you look at the United Nations map, it gives you a map of another part of the world. And this is what I mean about people just give us stuff and we just accept what they give us. We don't look at it from a different point of view. They came in through the north. They came in through Newfoundland up there by Canada, New York, New Jersey, New Amsterdam. Everything is new. Why is everything new? Because when they came over, they were just calling what they knew at home, it's new over here. That's all. I mean, these are simple. These are simple clues for us. Why are the French up in Canada? These are questions we don't ask. They came down the Mississippi.
But
Yes, ma'am.
I was going to make another point, because I'm always trying to connect some of these and be ever present as best I can. Drop these little breadcrumbs out there with what they put out in the media and everything. Perk our ears up so we can, see and hear. Now, the other day, they awarded Henry Louis Gates Jr. the DuPont Award for his quote-unquote work in African American many rivers to cross. Okay, we've seen, I caught a few of those episodes. It was ridiculous. But you have this man up there with DNA, which is a hoax, telling people that there's something other than what they are. So this information is out there. We got to keep in mind with who the DuPonts are. The DuPonts are right up there with the Rothschilds. Okay, so what is that? So what is that telling you? And in the article that was addressing his award, it says, this is quoting him, when I got the idea to do a PBS series about the roots of the African American people, I was inspired by two sources. This is Henry Louis Gates. First, of course, by Alex Haley's Roots, The Lie, and second, by the new science of ancestry tracing through the use of DNA, to which I had been introduced by my friend, Dr. Rick Kittles, then geneticist at Howard University, quote unquote, Henry Louis Gates Jr. Now, all I'm saying is anybody who knows that Roots is alive, he's saying that inspired him, and he's using the science of a hoax. And if you sit there and you go and the people who he's doing these tests on, they are sitting there and you're catching them in real time looking quizzical and crazy, but they're still going on parroting and let him string them along like crazy puppets.
Well, check this out. This is what you are witnessing is crimes against humanity right in your face. Area code 760. You have something you want to add?
Yes, sir, I did. Hey, everybody. This is Corey.
What's up, bro?
What's up, man? Just real quick, I had a question. I have some research I want to present. Maybe you guys knew this already. But first, my question. How come they didn't just take the Native American kids that they found over here if they were just taking kids? According to the root story, Kunta Kinte, he was a kid when they took him. So how come they didn't just take these kids that were already over here from their tribes?
Right.
You said why didn't right? Why would they take kids? Why wouldn't they take the kids who are familiar with the terrain?
And save yourself a how many month trip, brother Buck?
Right. A trip across the Atlantic. Now check this out. Now I would implore everybody to go look at an Atlantic crossing on a aircraft carrier, and you will see for yourself that it's impossible. Go ahead, sir.
Brother Buck, don't forget to tell what kind of conditions. Don't forget to. You remember the doctor you were saying whose mom fell?
Who?
You remember? You said the sister, she's a doctor, and she didn't want to believe it at first.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Could you break that down real quick?
Yes. Before we do that, let's get back into what the brother was saying. I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
Sorry, brother. Sorry, caller.
Hey, please hold that thought. I want to hear this. Thank you for that. What's the word I'm looking for? Warning. Don't come with the BS.
Right.
I've definitely been looking up the BS, and I got Google Images open, and I'm looking up satellites and atomic bombs, and I'm like, okay, slave ship. All right, same images.
Right.
Same, drawn up images. So that's a tool people can use to just see the truth for themselves. Man,
yes.
If it's BS, I mean, you could type in Africans, and you can see, there's Obama, there's,
yes.
African people. You don't see Kobe, you don't see.
Right.
I'm just thinking of names now. But okay, this is what I got. It's funny how Native American history really syncs up, so-called Native American history syncs up with our history. I'm looking up the Slave Trade Act of 1807. Then you got the Trail of Tears happening in 1830. Okay, yeah. All these tribes, the Cherokee Nation, and so on, were moved east of the Mississippi River to areas like Oklahoma. Black Wall Street was active from 1836. Oh, that was 1830. Okay, Black Wall Street was active from 1836 to 1921. I mean, that's a hell of a coincidence. You got these people migrating to this certain spot where there's all this black prominence going on, so-called black prominence going on.
Right.
So, I think that's fascinating.
Yeah. Now, sir, could you share, how did you come to that conclusion?
Oh, just the dates. I mean, 1830, 1836. I mean, why didn't the Indians, you know what I'm saying? Why didn't they set up a Cherokee Wall Street, whatever? You know, it's like,
Yes, sir. And again, how are Africans who were brought across, how are they coming and being that astute in business like that? Thanks for calling, brother. Area code 281. Do you have something you want to bring to the table? 281. Okay. We're talking about the transatlantic slave trade. We're talking about disconnecting a people from their ancestral homeland and what it does to them. And Rick, I wanted to get your thoughts on, since we are disconnected from everything really, because when it comes to natural things, when it comes to things in nature, I'm not saying all of us, because a lot of brothers and sisters do get out there, but the vast majority of us, we don't like going to the beach, we don't like going hiking, we don't like getting in the ocean, we don't like climbing mountains, we don't like fishing, we don't like mosquitoes, anything that has to do with nature, we're repulsed by it. How is that mindset been perpetrated on us where we are anti-nature?
What you mean? Are you saying you talking about how has it affected us today, on how they when they're taking us from nature? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, yes. I'm talking about how does that affect us as a part of the habitat? So check this out. So like let me give it to you like this. You know that every winter birds of the north fly down to the south because it's warm. So those birds fly down to the north because they have an automatic system in their bodies that connects them to the earth, right?
That is correct. And another thing that's also, also our people also had moved during that time too. When it was during the cold months, they also had homes in warmer places. We had, as a matter of fact, when a lot of the Europeans got here, they saw, that wow, all this stuff is here and nobody's claiming it, and that's why they made claims to it, because everybody was gone.
Right. So what I'm saying is that since those birds have that natural connection to the earth, as a people, we have that too.
Yes, that's correct.
So since we have that and we're not using it when it comes to the earth, we probably use it for things that go bling bling. What does that do to us?
Oh, what's happening to us right now is and this is what's happening to us physically right now, because of what's happening to the earth, is we're starting to dehydrate at alarming rates.
Now, when you say dehydrate, what do you mean?
This menu will repeat.
Our bodies we're not hydrated because
Please enter your access code followed by the pound. This menu will repeat.
Of the natural environment here in America, and that's your connection, because the trees are what gives you all the oxygen and all the other stuff. Then you got the bees and the birds. They pollinate the trees. You know, all of us, it goes in a circle. All of us have a connection to everything in the so-called ecosystem here in America. The so-called African American connects to. And when these, like there's been a big thing lately in the news about bees dying, about how the bees are gone. Well, when the bees start dying, the trees start dying. When the trees start dying, the people start dying. And that's exactly what happened over in Egypt also. That's why it is nothing but desert over there. And the same thing is going to happen over here if we don't get our natural connection to the ecosystem here in America and get all this African nonsense out of our heads.
Area code 813, I'll see you as you're in the queue. Did you have something you want to add to the conversation?
Hello. How's everybody?
Hey, 813, how are you tonight?
I'm pretty good. It's my first time attending the call. This is extremely interesting, and I'm impressed by all the information I'm gathering. I was just wondering, we're going back to the myth of a slave trade. How do they explain the 4 million people that were freed after the Civil War if they only brought over, they say, quote-unquote, 600,000 people from the continent of Africa over the 300-year period? Has anybody been able to explain how they were able to count 4 million people? Is that possible?
One thing you have to remember is now, we're not saying that there wasn't a slave trade. We're just talking about a slave trade coming from Africa. But you have to remember there were whole Indian tribes that were made slaves. You know, so a lot of us, we were the slaves, and they got them from right here. That's to explain the 4 million that anybody want to talk about, and which I don't know about that myself.
And that also explains the Civil War, because the Civil War wasn't no North or South BS. The Civil War was about us. Ma'am, like the question you just posed. So you took the evidence and you weighed it, and it logically and common sense don't add up. So with so same thing with the Civil War. You've been a fan of England since the beginning. You are England's daughter. Why are you fighting your mother? That's what they taught us. The Civil War was about us, blowing us off this land, killing many of our ancestors. That's what that was about. And if we just thought logically, England and the United States never fight against each other. Never. And it's little, like Nisi says, bread crumbs like this that makes us, how come we don't pick up on this? So thank you, ma'am. Yeah, we're just trying to get some conversation going where we can get some thinking going, because where we going now, it's like, for real, y'all?
I also had another question.
Yes, ma'am.
I think you all kind of touched on it about the Ancestry.com and how it's false. So why does it always come up when you're a black person from America that it shows that you're from a Western African country? How does that?
I can answer that. Let me answer. It's rigged. It is not real. That's the easiest thing for you to understand. It is not real. We must understand that this is a construction. And within the construction, all of this is the construct, these different tentacles. So you have Henry Louis Gates Jr. and other people, out there. They are arbiters of the lie. You have to have people. It wouldn't do much good just to have arbiters of the lie that didn't look like us, now would it? You have to have arbiters of these things that look like us. So this person and other people, they are tapped to be, quote unquote, the authorities on the lie. Now, if you leave your information on one of the comments, I will email you or, inbox you or whatever. If you're in the group, I don't know. I'll give you this article. In the article, you will just die laughing when you see that the people here, as in us, we have supposedly, according to Gates, 0.08%. I don't even know where these percentages come from or how he does the dynamics of the breakdown. "Quote unquote" Native American ancestry, and so-called European Pink Panther Caucasians, they have 2.7. How is that even possible? It doesn't even make sense. The figures are just plucked out of the thin air. Based on what?
And that's the kind of information we follow. Another thing that I think we got to pay particular attention to is that minority word that they always throw upon us. And I just want to know simply, how is it if we're only 12% of this population that all these foreigners can come over here and get, 95% of our money if we're the minority? And they live in fat. They live in fat on your homeland. You see all those commercials where they be out there catching the big fish, out there climbing your mountains, surfing your oceans, and you sitting in the movies in the dark.
Where's the 12%? But where's the 12% come from? That 12%. Now you know that we have babies. Okay, we have babies.
Yeah.
Europeans are the only ones who aren't having babies. They have to get in vitro, artificially, whatever, okay? They're not having babies the natural way. They couldn't hold that lie together anymore because the dam had broke on it, so they had to seal it. As of 2011, 2012, they finally came out, and it was all over the news. Their birth rates are now lower than their death rates. So how the hell are we at 12%, 13%? It just depends, flip of a coin. We've had that same number for, I don't know, maybe 50 years, 60 years? That doesn't even make any sense. That doesn't even add up.
It's called psychological warfare. It's if they tell you that's what you are, and you take it and believe that's what you are, that's what you will be. So that's what we think like.
And Buck, and another thing that we need to start doing is we need to, like we were saying, we need to start talking to our elders, talking to our grandmothers and grandfathers. You ask some questions, like all of the remedies that they were using when people got sick.
Yes.
You find those plants in Africa, the remedies that they use. The only thing people over here, all these so-called African Americans, the only thing over here they know anything about that came from Africa is shea butter.
Right. Is there an equivalent? Now, see, this is what I mean about industry. Is there an equivalent plant? I think this is what we're going to do with Project Reconnect. Is there a plant here in America that is equivalent to the plant, the tree in Africa, that could be used for something for our hair here? This is what all our scientists should be doing. So when brothers be saying they going to school to be a scientist, are these the things that you're doing? What are some of the plants here that we can use, that we can make industry out of?
Right now, cocoa butter, mango butter, and all types of other fruits and vegetables that grow right here in America that you can do the same thing with. Cocoa butter.
Yes. So this is the industry. This is what I mean about industry, because these jobs ain't gonna last forever.
Mm-hmm.
They not.
Grandma always had that hot toddy for your body.
Right. So, I think being in a position where we can take care of ourselves for real, because, like you say, you have China coming over here with their free trade zones. You have a lot of foreigners coming in. What is that going to do to the indigenous people of America? I think this is something that we're going to have to talk about and deal with. And so in closing, Rick, you had any final words you wanted to share with us?
Well, all I wanted to say was I was glad that we had this talk tonight, because I think it was very, very much needed to tell the knowledge that we've gained since we've started the show. So I was kind of happy to bring that back up, especially with what's been going on lately. And also, I just want to thank all the people from listening, and I also want to thank that caller who said it was her first time. I'm thankful that and I hope she keeps listening to us, because I think we give a lot of good information here on Quadruple A. And with that, good night, all.
Lone Wolf.
Brother Buck, I'm passing mine to you, because I'm not leaving till you tell the story real quick about the condition with the doctor and her mom. Real quick. You know, the doctor and her mom. Remember? The mom passed out. The female, your friend, she didn't believe you at first about the slave, our whole theory. And then you told me her mom passed out in the kitchen and was laying in her own.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that. Okay. No. This. So,
because that ties in with this, know.
Right. This is going back to the transatlantic slave trade. This is another myth. This is nurses have told me this too. So, her mom falls out, and she's laying in her urine. She falls on the floor, and she's laying in her urine and feces for 4 days. When the paramedics got to her, the acid from the feces and urine had burned a hole in her skin. Okay. So you got all these people on this slave ship. And this is why I implore you to look at ships of the Atlantic crossing. You have people on these ships. Look how they're tied down. Look how they're positioned. They even had some people send a picture where the people just in there look like they watching TV. This ship is crashing on these waves. These people are bouncing around like bouncing balls, peeing, throwing up, peeing, pooping, menstrual blood, and eating in those same conditions.
Eating filth. Right. Not even enough nutrition, not a salad.
Right. For real, cuz?
Like, who came and holds these people down every day? You know what I mean? With what?
Right. And these are
a toxic bomb, man. You know, somebody lit a massive thing that blew up. There's so much methane gas and crap going around. It's ridiculous.
Right. And these are the stories that we teach our children. These are the stories. Ask these people when they tell you these stories. Just ask them a couple of questions. And those are the Africans, the ones who are telling you those stories. Those are the Africans. Because why would they tell you that this isn't your home? Why would they tell you that this is other people's home? These are the questions you have to ask people. I don't care who it is. No doctor is above reproach. They are supposed to be helping us, and are they helping us? No man is like that. We all put on our pants the same way. So before you close, so what, Rick? I mean, what's up, Lone Wolf? What you want to close out with?
Well, I just want to thank my co-hosts, callers, and listeners, and just always keep your mind open. Don't block your blessings. Don't block information. Take it all in. We're not trying to beat you across the head with it. We're just trying to give you some information, something to make you say, like, what was that? Arsenio Hall. Remember that, Brother Bud?
Yes, sir. It's cool. Thanks, brother. Right. Nisi, take us home, baby.
All right, brothers, my darling. Family, we can do better when we know better. But it's even crazier to expect people to teach us, other people to teach us. The areas that cause us the most internal pain, they have to be addressed by us. We in this society, that feigns civilization. We have a foundation that was built on deception and depravity. It's maintained by lies that continues to create leverage on groups of people, us, socially, politically, and economically. It's the same society that continues to use us for any facet that promotes the notions that we are something other than we are. We have to break these lies down. We have to stop embracing them. We have to stop on a teeter-totter of being a victim and a victor. We can't be both. We're going to be victorious once we embrace the truth. And until that time, that's the epic tragedy for us. Good night.
Well, how do you follow up after that? I'll try.
You can't, baby. You can't.
Check this out. I want to thank my co-hosts for joining me tonight and sharing their gifts with us. The transatlantic slave trade is a story used to disconnect us. That's the problems that you're seeing here. We don't think we're part of anything. Ask your grandparents, your parents, do some searching. You can go on some of these websites, but I say ask the family members. They know. Somebody in your family know, uncles, somebody know. Get to the elder people now while you still can. This is African Americans Ain't African, and we just trying to bring you some truth to show you that you are the direct descendants of the Aboriginal people. I'm not the Aboriginal people, the indigenous people of America. So I want to thank you for joining us. Next Tuesday, we coming off the hook with a brother. So it's a treat to what it is, but it's something that's going to give us it's going to mess with the way we think. It's going to heighten the way we think, because we got to look at our condition from other views, because we can't keep living like this. If we keep going out like this, the light's not going to be on too much longer. So with that, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next Tuesday night here at African Americans Ain't African Radio.
Brother Bud, we want to thank you as well, man, for giving us the opportunity, man, and using us as a vehicle for information. Thanks.
Hey, man, shoot, we gotta do better, man, because we can't go out like this.
Yeah, we will be reading you guys' comments on the videos as well, and hopefully we can start incorporating calling in people while we're on the show.
So thank you all, and good night.